When most people in the Northeast US think about New Jersey, they tend to have similar reactions, like, or disgusting, or bottom line, they view it as one of the least appealing states in the region. Are they right? Well, it's a matter of opinion. But are they justified? I'll try to go over some of the factors in an impartial manner. And before we begin, I am a New Yorker, but I did spend 2 years of my life in Princeton, New Jersey. And I've spent the 6 years since continuing to explore around the state. And I've now been to 75% of all the municipalities. And most importantly, I'm looking out for you. And my intention is just to tell the honest truth about this place. So, let's take a look at the causes for this reputation. Let's start with the most obvious point. Many out-of-staters see New Jersey as an annoying portion of a driving trip between the two larger states of New York and Pennsylvania. To traverse many points in the northeastern megalopolis, you have to drive through New Jersey. And then to add to that, most people drive on the monstrosity known as the New Jersey Turnpike. It's filled with traffic, trucks, endless lanes and service roads and ramps and confusing exits and interchanges, especially near the George Washington Bridge. And it's also an extremely boring road to drive on, cutting through flat land and industrial zones for pretty much the entire stretch. And the tolls can be unbearable too. So a typical thing people say to slander people in New Jersey is, "Oh, you live in New Jersey? What exit?" as you saw in the thumbnail. So obviously, you'll have a bad impression of New Jersey based on this alone. The other most obvious issue people have is the extreme urban and suburban sprawl of the New York City and Philadelphia metros, but especially the New York City area. For instance, right across the river from Manhattan are some of the most densely populated municipalities in the nation: Gutenberg, Union City, West New York, Hoboken. Those right there are 1 through 4. And 7 of the top 10 in the country are in this area. And the others, like Jersey City and Bayonne, are super dense as well. It's just mind-numbingly crowded here, with people, buildings, streets, and cars, you name it. But it doesn't even come close to stopping there. The marginally less dense sprawl continues for 20 miles in each direction. If I placed myself in a random spot in Essex or Passaic counties, I'd feel like I was in the middle of Oblivion, or an endless simulation or something, and it would take forever to escape. And please don't get me wrong, there are plenty of nice towns within these areas, especially in northeastern Bergen County, with places like Gloucester and Tenafly, or places in Essex and Union counties like Montclair and Westfield. But still, you're in the middle of a lot of suburbia. And also, in the dense urban areas right across from Manhattan, you actually have some unique and interesting places, like Hoboken, Union City, and Weehawken. New Jersey does get all this slander for this sprawl, but still, I'd take places like this over other completely sterile suburbs around the country, like the suburbs of, say, Atlanta, Georgia. Next, people always insult New Jersey for the amount of highly visible industrial zones. Some of it makes sense though, like in the area around Newark Bay. That's basically the largest port area in the New York metro, so you have to understand that the entire area, which the New Jersey Turnpike runs through, is absolutely covered with industry of all kinds. Perhaps the stereotypical site in the state would be the sports complex where the Giants and Jets play, where it's just completely surrounded by warehouses in every direction. But still, it's near major ports, so it's understandable. However, there is a legitimate gripe with the industrial zones all around the state, because it's not just limited to the New York and Philadelphia areas. We already discussed that they're around all stretches of the Turnpike, but the most disappointing part is that the entire lower Delaware River Valley, south of Trenton, also has too much of it. North of Trenton, the Delaware River has some of New Jersey's nicest river towns, but south of it, it's a gigantic missed opportunity. The riverfronts are frankly not nice at all, and some of these towns are just ruined by things like factories, refineries, oil tanks, warehouses, and it just all adds to the reputation of New Jersey being a disgusting state. The Delaware River should be one of the state's best commodities, but it's pretty forsaken here. Next, New Jersey's highways are very annoying to many drivers and cyclists like me. We talked about the Turnpike, but honestly, that's okay, because the grandeur of that highway allows people to move fast, which is the point of the whole thing. The roads I'm talking about are the limited access highways that still have strip mall entrances and long traffic lights. And they're everywhere. Just to name a few, some of the worst are Route 17 and 208 in Bergen County, Routes 35 and 36 in Monmouth County, Route 42 in Gloucester County, Route 22 in Union and Somerset counties, and US 1 in Middlesex and Mercer counties. It's just a nightmare driving through these, and it's worse when you need to travel somewhere in the local area and are waiting in the traffic. It definitely hurts the state's reputation. The only other places I've seen so many roads like these are in northern Delaware and, of course, Florida. And this issue is probably directly related to the next issue, which is just the vast suburban sprawl all around the state, even in the areas not near New York or Philly. I'm talking about the interior parts of the state, and in particular, the Somerville area, the Dover area, and the Freehold and Manalapan area. There really were some great opportunities to have charming towns and cities, but instead, it just sprawled into more endless housing developments extending for miles on end. And think about the Jersey Shore for a moment, which is pretty much the only good reputation area in the state. But still, just inland in Ocean County are the super booming sprawling townships of Toms River and Lakewood. You just can't escape the sprawl here. People all around the country slander places like Florida for its endless development like this, but it's all over New Jersey too, and most people notice that and make comparisons between the two states. Now let's talk about the cities, and believe me, it just doesn't get better. When people think cities in New Jersey, they think of Newark and Jersey City, which are better than they used to be, but are still crowded and run down in parts. I don't usually like to consider any place in the US as a no-go zone, but the Newark suburb of Irvington very well might be one. Then there are cities like Paterson and Elizabeth, which aren't thought of as overly dangerous, but are definitely not nice-looking places. And in neighboring New York State, many people like to slander the Bronx. But please tell me, does the city of Passaic, New Jersey not look exactly like the Bronx? Okay, so this is what people think with New Jersey cities. But the biggest problem of them all are the cities of Trenton and Camden, which are regarded as pretty much the two worst cities in the country of their size, at least in the eastern US. Trenton is universally regarded as the worst state capital in the country, and Camden is well documented as an awful place as well, and to some people, as a no-go zone. Other cities like Vineland and southern Jersey aren't regarded as awful, but are definitely nothing worth visiting. Most people agree that the best large cities in the state are New Brunswick, Hoboken, and Jersey City, but it probably doesn't outweigh the negatives in most people's opinions. So let's talk about some of the better parts of the state for a few moments. The far northern part of the state is a nice rural and mountainy area with nice small towns, much more like the nearby states of New York and Pennsylvania. The problem is, it's simply not better than the similar places in New York or Pennsylvania. The mountains and lakes and towns are all less impressive than across the state lines, and therefore, the region is quite overlooked. Honestly, could you name any towns in the area without looking at the map, or you didn't live there? Then there's the Pine Barrens in southeastern Jersey, and it's an absolutely fascinating ecosystem that's almost completely unique to right here in New Jersey. But most people don't know about it. There are interesting small towns and ghost towns, like the Batstow Village in southern Burlington County. I think the state should really find a way to take advantage of this geographic feature, but that will require some brainstorming. Understandably, it's hard to make nice towns in this kind of area. But as of now, all the new developments are like this. More sprawl on the way. Now, let's talk about the Jersey Shore. This is often regarded in a far more positive manner. There are only two negatives that people often refer to. First, it's not a good look that the two most prominent historic cities on the coast have definitely seen better days, especially with Atlantic City, which used to be the place to go until it fell apart. Then they added the casinos, and then that struggled. Otherwise, the Jersey Shore actually has a really great diversity of different types of beach towns. I'm not a beach expert, but there are areas that are sparse, areas that are nature-oriented, then quiet beach towns, then beach towns that are primarily homes or summer residences, then a couple large cities, and several resort towns with boardwalks. However, one event in one of these towns in 2009 really harmed the reputation of not just the area, but the people in particular. And I think you might know where I'm going with this. In Seaside Heights, a TV show called Jersey Shore was filmed, and I'm no expert on that show, but it definitely gave people a negative impression of the kinds of people who frequent the shore. Keep in mind, I still haven't talked about the reputation of the people in the state, but this really created nationwide slander for people who didn't really know New Jersey and the people there. But that's how life goes sometimes, isn't it? Alright, so that's all the main points. Now, is the slander justified? Well, everything I said about the infrastructure and layout of the state is. But one thing I really want you to take away from this video is that New Jersey has one huge thing going for it. Just like neighboring New York State, New Jersey has a great diversity of different kinds of regions throughout the state. The metros, the standalone cities, the rolling hills, the mountains to the north, the Watchung Mountains and Piedmont region in the center, the Delaware River region to the west, the farmlands to the south, the Pine Barrens, the coastal plain, the Raritan Bay area, and the shore. And while, yes, maybe each region doesn't live up to its potential, other than the shore, it has so many different areas other than the Turnpike, even if they all have similar problems to the Turnpike. Now, as for other things, as usual, people will always complain about taxes or politics or stereotypes of people who live there. But let's be real, you'll never make everyone happy anyway, so I'm giving no time for that. Overall, I'd say New Jersey is a slightly underrated state, and it's better than some others in the Northeast. I won't name any names yet. Hey, get that off the screen. Can New Jersey improve? Well, yes. The cities can always rebound. Places like the mountains and Pine Barrens can someday become more attractive. But the sprawl and roads seem to be the way this place operates, so that's probably not going to change, and might actually get worse. But now, I hand the mic over to you, the viewers. What do you think when you think of New Jersey? Is it overrated, underrated, or fairly rated? Can it improve? Can you refute any of the slander better than I can? I'd like to hear from you in the comments. I plan on doing some top 10 videos for New Jersey, but wanted to discuss this beforehand. So I look forward to reading your comments, and thanks for watching.